we are again with the special senses. This is part two of the special senses. And in this one, we're actually going to be focusing more on the eye than the ear. So, just once again, those few precursor notes, the quiz is going to cover both of the different chapters. There's a ton of terms, but they generally follow the naming scheme that you know of already. So, let's dig into it and go into the eye. Ooh. The eye has a variety of different bits to it that are relatively important to understand. It is a complex type of system that has a number of different types of tissues. It's actually one of the, you could consider it an external extent of your nervous system because your nervous system ends up living at the back of the eye in the retina. The retina is essentially composed of a variety of different types of structures, rods and cones, that then go directly to the optic nerve, which is one of the cranial nerves that goes directly to the brain. So you have a number of different bits that are associated with the eye, including your eyelids, your lacrimal glands, which are your tear ducts, the inside portion of your eye, your cornea, which is on the outside. There's actually a thin film around your cornea of tissue called the conjunctiva, which is where you get the term conjunctivitis. So conjunctivitis or pink eye is an inflammation of the conjunctiva. So the conjunctiva lives on the outside of the eye. Then there's the cornea. Then the pupil is the dilating type of thing that gets bigger and smaller depending on the amount of light and the amount of information that you need to get. You have some ciliary muscles that change the shape of the lens. Then there is this whole entire vitreous fluid, vitreous. The vitreous fluid is essentially just goo inside of your eye that allows for the light to process through to get to the back of the eye where all of that light is focused in the fovea centralis. And that's actually where most of your cones live, so the color sensing bits, and then it will go from there. Vision is made possible through a variety of different types of nerves. So in order to let vision happen, you actually have to have a lot of stuff that goes on. You need to make sure that the eyeball is actually focused on whatever it needs to. So that means you need to move the eye in the appropriate direction. You need to also change the amount of light that is going in that pupil. And make sure that you change the shape of the lens to be able to be the appropriate shape to go to where it needs to. And then you take that information as it hits the specialized sensory cells to bring it to the optic nerve. It's complex, but like many of the other special senses, it's a variation on a theme. A couple different terms that you might need to know about. The orbit is the actual name for the cavity in which the eyeball hangs out. Sometimes you'll see the eyeball itself as referred to as the orbit, but generally it is the orbital cavity, a cavity in which the eye sits. There are 6 muscles that provide movement for the eye. Eyelids are, you know what eyelids are, but they help from being able to shield from intense light and stuff hitting the eye. The conjunctiva we've talked about already. The lacrimal apparatus I very briefly referred to, but it is this bits on the nasal portion of your eye, and they produce tears. Tears are essentially a combination of oils and saline solution, for lack of better terminology, that help lubricate the eye and keep it so that it's clean. There's some antibacterial properties to tears as well that make it so that you shouldn't have bacteria in your eye, because that's a bad thing. Eyeball itself is the organ. The sclera is the outer layer of the eyeball that has fibrous tissue that's associated with it. And it is the white of the eye, as opposed to the pupil, which is where you end up getting the color part of the eye. The cornea is transparent and bends the light rays to help focus them on the surface of the retina. The choroid is a pigmented layer at the very back of the eye that helps to absorb any type of extra light that happens to be around. Ciliary bodies, those are those ciliary muscles that help pull or relax the lens. They also provide nutrients to the cornea and the lens and other different types of tissues. The iris itself is that area surrounding the pupil. So the pupil is the whole technically, and it can appear as a variety of different types of colors depending on light sources and genetics. The retina is that layer of those cells in the back. The lens is what helps with accommodation. So accommodation is the idea of changing the shape of the lens. Here are some of those different types of muscles. A couple of them that you need to know about is the tendinous sling or the trochlea. Trochlea literally means anchor or sling. And then there's a variety of them that will move in different types of places and different types of movement. That's all we've got for the eye. If you have any types of questions, I didn't really cover any of the photochromatic cells or anything else along those lines, mostly because it goes into way too much detail way too quickly. But if you have any types of questions, please stop by, ask, and or shoot me an email. Anyway, good luck. See you later.